Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Skyward Airlines Flight 472 was about to take off from New York to Los Angeles. On board, first class exuded luxury, champagne, reclining seats, hushed silence. It was at this moment that a flight attendant, Amanda Harris, an elegant but haughty woman, noticed a black man in a suit sitting in seat 1A. She frowned, annoyed. "Sir, first class is reserved for premium passengers. You must have the wrong seat." The man calmly looked up from his newspaper. "I am perfectly happy where I am, miss." But Amanda insisted, her tone drier. "No, sir, I ask you to return to economy class. We must maintain a certain standard here." All eyes turned towards them. Some passengers discreetly filmed the scene. The man, still composed, simply took out his e-ticket. Amanda glanced at it quickly, then brushed it away with a contemptuous gesture. "I'm going to call the captain to sort this out," she launched. A few seconds later, his earpiece crackled. "Amanda, this is Captain Blake. Tell everyone to calm down, our senior officer has just boarded, he will be seated in first class, seat 1A. Silence fell. Amanda froze. She looked at the man, his face, his calmness, his uniform folded under his jacket, and understood. It was Captain Marcus Turner, one of the company's most respected pilots, recently promoted after saving a flight in distress. Amanda's face paled. She wanted to apologize, but he raised his hand. "Keep your excuses. We'll take off on time." A few days later, a video of the scene went viral. A flight attendant humiliates a black pilot at his own airline. Skyward Airlines was the subject of a national scandal. Amanda was suspended. And Marcus was promoted to Director of Training and Diversity. But the real lesson that day was not in the punishment, it was in the look of shame on the face of a woman who had just lost everything because of her pride. New York's JFK International Airport was buzzing with its usual hustle and bustle, suitcases clattering, announcements over the loudspeaker, and passengers hurrying between terminals. At the Skyward Airlines counter, a flight attendant with impeccable posture, Amanda Harris, adjusted her navy blue jacket while checking the list of first-class passengers. Everything had to be perfect. Senior management was monitoring every detail of Flight 472, a flight known for transporting influential figures and VIP clients. Amanda was proud of her position. She considered herself a rigorous, demanding, and above all, professional woman. But beneath this facade hid a misplaced pride, forged by years of selective admiration, the rich, the powerful, and, in his mind, good-looking people. While she was preparing the cabin, a man entered, dressed in a simple but elegant suit. Black, in his 40s, with a calm and confident demeanor. He greeted everyone politely as he boarded the plane and headed towards first class, seat 1A. Amanda frowned. She hadn't seen him on the usual VIP list. "Hello, sir. May I see your ticket?" she asked with a forced smile. The man held out his phone, clearly displaying, Flight 472, first class, seat 1A. She raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure this is the right flight?" "Absolutely sure," he replied in a calm voice, without arrogance. Amanda, annoyed, resumed her professional tone. "Okay, have a seat." But there must have been a booking error. The passenger simply nodded and opened an aviation magazine. He seemed calm, serene. But the more she looked at him, the more something inside her became irritated. A black man, alone, in first class? And nobody recognized him? No, for Amanda, it didn't fit. A few minutes later, the other passengers boarded, a senator, a businessman, an influencer. They all greeted Amanda by her first name. She felt reassured, in her familiar world. But his gaze kept returning to the man in seat 1A. He didn't speak to anyone. He calmly observed the cabin, noting every detail, as if he were assessing everything around him. This behavior bothered her. So she decided internally that she would restore order before takeoff. At that moment, she was unaware that this silent man held the power to disrupt her career, and even her entire life. The boarding end signal sounded. The plane doors closed gently, isolating the cabin from the hustle and bustle of the airport. Amanda went around first class, checking the seatbelts, the tray tables, the luggage. Everything seemed perfect, except for the man in seat 1A. He sat quietly, leafing through a report with graphs and handwritten notes. His calmness irritated Amanda. She approached him, determined to clear things up. "Sir, I'm going to be frank with you. This space is reserved for passengers in our Elite Sky program." The man looked up, a slight smile playing at the corner of his lips. "I know, miss. And I'm part of it." This answer stung her. "I don't see your name on the elite member list." Perhaps there was an error in the system. The other passengers, curious, began to listen intently. Amanda, aware of their gaze, raised her head, more confident. "I'm going to have to ask you to please return to economy class, sir. We must follow protocol." A murmur rippled through the cabin. The man calmly closed his file, took a deep breath, and replied, "I advise you to wait before drawing any hasty conclusions." But Amanda wouldn't listen. "Sir, if you refuse, I will be forced to call the captain." An amused passenger whispered. "Amanda, leave him alone, he hasn't done anything." She ignored the remark, feeling supported by her invisible superiors, convinced that she was acting professionally. "I don't want to create a scene," she said in a curt tone, "but this man doesn't belong here. I'm going to ask the captain to intervene." At that precise moment, silence fell in the cabin. All eyes were on them. The man in seat 1A gently placed his ticket on the tray table, took out his phone and placed it next to it. Screen lit, the Skyward Airlines logo was displayed, followed by an internal access code reserved for crew members. Amanda saw it, but didn't understand right away. He sighed, then simply said, "Call the captain, Amanda. I think he'll want to speak to me personally." The calm, almost benevolent tone unsettled her. But she remained upright, proud. She pressed her earpiece and announced, "Captain Blake, this is Amanda. I have a passenger who refuses to leave first class. I think he's in the wrong seat." A few seconds of silence. Then a deep voice replied, "Amanda, this passenger is Captain Marcus Turner. He is the pilot of this flight. He requested to travel in civilian clothes for a surprise inspection." Amanda's face froze. Exclamations arose around her. A woman whispered, "Oh my God." The man in seat 1A, Commander Turner, finally met Amanda's gaze. "You see, miss, sometimes, those we think we can put in their place are precisely those who know yours." Amanda felt the ground give way beneath her. She apologized awkwardly, but Turner looked away, closed his file, and concluded in a low voice, "Please take a seat. The flight is about to take off, and we all have a role to play, including yours." Flight 472 landed without incident in Los Angeles, under a bright blue sky. The passengers left the cabin one by one, some casting a sympathetic glance at Amanda, others discreetly filming her tense face. Commander Marcus Turner was the last to leave, his composure undiminished, his gaze unwavering. He hadn't raised his voice once, but everyone knew that something serious had just transpired. Amanda remained alone for a few minutes in first class, staring at seat 1A as if that simple number haunted her. She felt a lump in her throat. How could I have been so wrong, she thought. She tried to reassure herself, perhaps this will remain between us. The passengers will forget. But she was unaware that a student sitting in 1C had filmed everything. And a few hours later, the video was uploaded to TikTok and X, Twitter, with this title: "A flight attendant humiliates a black pilot at his own airline." Within hours, the video went viral. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Some outraged people. It's shameful that we're still seeing this in 2025. This man's calmness, incredible. She deserves to be fired. Amanda received the first messages on her phone as soon as she arrived at her hotel. A flurry of notifications. Screenshots. Then calls from his direct supervisor. Amanda, we need to talk. Right now. Mr. Lewis, I can explain. It's pointless. Management is furious. The press wants a statement. Captain Turner has refused to press charges, but the company has launched an investigation. Amanda felt her heart race. But I didn't know who he was, she almost shouted. Exactly. That's the problem. You didn't try to find out. You judged before you understood. The words hit her like a slap in the face. She hung up, collapsed onto the bed and watched her phone tremble with notifications. The hashtag racist hostess was already trending worldwide. In the evening, the television news programs picked up the story again. The incident involving Flight 472 has shocked the country. The blurred video was shown, Amanda, stiff, demanding that the black passenger leave first class, then the moment when the captain's voice reveals the truth. The newsroom added headlines such as, "When racism meets pride in the open sky." Thousands of kilometers away, Commander Turner remained silent. Sitting in his office, he watched the video only once, then turned it off. His gaze expressed neither anger nor vengeance. Just a profound disappointment. He knew this story was going to blow up, and that it was going to force the company to look in the mirror. 2 days later, Amanda was summoned to the headquarters of Skyward Airlines, a huge glass building in Manhattan. She had barely slept. Her eyes were swollen, her hands were trembling. The corridors she once walked with pride now seemed hostile and cold. Every glance she received whispered the same word, racist. She entered the meeting room. Around the table were 3 senior executives and, at the end, sitting calmly, Commander Marcus Turner. Her impeccably pressed uniform contrasted with Amanda's nervousness. "Please sit down, Miss Harris," said one of the leaders. She obeyed in silence. The Human Resources Director then spoke. "We're here to understand what happened on board Flight 472. The video has gone viral. The airline is under pressure. We want your side of the story." Amanda took a deep breath. I admit I acted too quickly. I thought there had been a mistake. I didn't know who he was." Marcus, who had been silent until then, slowly raised his eyes. "What if I had been just a passenger?" he asked calmly. She remained silent. It continues. "If I hadn't been a commander, but just a black man with a first-class ticket, would you have treated me differently?" The question cut her in two. Silence fell in the room. Amanda felt a tear welling up in her eyes. I don't know," she murmured. Marcus nodded. "I'm not trying to humiliate you, Amanda. But please understand, the problem isn't that you didn't know who I was. The problem is that you believed I couldn't be in that position." His words resonated for a long time. Even the officers remained silent, impressed by the pilot's composure and dignity. The director continued. "Miss Harris, after review, the company has decided to suspend you indefinitely. You will undergo diversity and inclusion training before any possible reinstatement." Amanda nodded, unable to protest. She looked at Marcus one last time. "I'm sorry, Commander. I really am," he replied, without harshness. "Learn, Amanda. Don't let this mistake define you, but let it transform you." She left the room, her heart heavy, but strangely lucid. That day, she understood that she had just lost everything, but also that it might be the beginning of a redemption. Meanwhile, Marcus sat for a few moments, observing the city through the window. The press were waiting for him outside, but he only said one sentence. "Respect has no class. Neither economic, nor social, nor racial." His words were widely reported in the evening newspapers. Weeks passed. Amanda now lived alone in her small Brooklyn apartment, far from luxury hotels and transcontinental flights. She avoided social media. Every time she opened her phone, her name still appeared in the comments. The racist hostess at Skyward. She got what she deserved. His world had collapsed. His work friends had distanced themselves from him. Her face, once a symbol of elegance, had become a symbol of shame. But deep down, something was changing. She read, watched documentaries, and participated anonymously in forums on tolerance and diversity. For the first time, she was listening. She understood what invisible prejudice meant, the kind that creeps in without us realizing it. One morning, she received a letter bearing the Skyward Airlines logo. Her hands trembled. She was expecting a letter of final dismissal. But that wasn't the case. Internal Awareness Program, led by Commander Marcus Turner. You are invited to participate in a pilot session on inclusion and respect in the aviation industry. Amanda remained frozen. Marcus? After everything she'd done to him? She hesitated for several days before accepting. The training took place in a conference room at Newark Airport. Amanda entered timidly. At the back of the room, Marcus Turner was there, talking to a small group of flight attendants and pilots. When their eyes met, she felt her throat tighten. He approached her with a slight smile. You came. I didn't know if you would accept. I didn't want to run away, she replied, her voice low. He nodded. It's a good start. Here, we're not talking about punishment, but about understanding. About change. For several hours, Amanda listened to the testimonies of other employees who were victims of prejudice or subtle discrimination. Stories she could never have imagined. Each word struck her, not as an accusation, but like a mirror. At the end of the session, Marcus addressed the entire group. The important thing to remember is not the mistake, but the lesson. Respect is the ability to see a human being before appearances. And sometimes, life forces us to learn this in the most painful way. He looked at Amanda, then added. But those who truly learn deserve a second chance. She felt tears welling up in her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she smiled. No relief. No pride. Just a new peace, the kind that comes when you finally understand. A few months later, Amanda returned to her position, no longer as head hostess, but as assistant trainer in respect and diversity within the company. And with each new flight, as she passed faces from all backgrounds, she remembered Seat 1A. The seat where she had lost everything. And where she had begun to become a better person again.